People are crazy. And right now I'm looking at comments, and there's Capitals and Vegas fans, and let's honestly look this over. If you have to handicap who's had the harder time getting here, the Capitals took more games. I would argue that if you look at the level of their opposition, they're roughly the same. We get romanticized with the Penguins because they won back-to-back Stanley Cups, but they didn't look like those Penguins in the first round against Philly either. They struggled against Philly in the 2 games that they lost, and there was even an ugly win in there. So when you look at it, and I'm going to take a look at it, I really don't think there's an advantage going into the finals because of the layoff. I think the layoff means that any resting that Vegas gets should be offset. That being said, 4 extra games and all that extra overtime adds up. First round against the Capitals, they lost, or against the Blue Jackets in the most American-looking series that ever existed. They lost both games at home, 4-3 and 5-4 in overtime. And neither Bobrovsky nor Holtby looked particularly great in those first 2 games. Game 3, they win 3-2 in double overtime. There's Caps fans right now saying that's because Grubauer was in net. Yeah, I know, I got you. See, then you're yelling at your computer as if like this is a two-way thing, and like, yeah, really, yeah. I still can't hear you. It's not two-way. So they win 3-2 in double overtime in Game 3, and then there were complaints about it should have been Holtby right from the start because people have no memory. And forget that going into the playoffs, Holtby only had a .907 save percentage and didn't look particularly solid down the stretch, and Grubauer did. Anyways, by Game 4, all is well because they won that one 4-1. Then they won Game 5 in overtime, 4-3, and they win Game 6, 6-3. A lot of overtime, 4 out of 6 games go there. Second round, they get Pittsburgh. Most of us write them off right off the bat, and then they lose the first game 3-2. They win the second game 4-1. They win 4-3 in Game 3. They lose Game 4 3-1. They win Game 5 6-3, and that's when I figured out they were doing something different. They don't normally go up 3-2 on Pittsburgh. They blow 3-1 series lead, but they don't go up 3-2 on Pittsburgh. And at full Pittsburgh, they won 2-1 in overtime in Game 6. So now we're up to them against Tampa. They win 4-2. They win 6-2, both games on the road. Then they lose both games at home, 4-2 and 3-2, and then they lose on the road 3-2. So they're backed against the wall. They've lost 3 in a row. But Game 6 and Game 7, Holtby says, I got this. Puts them on their back, 3-0 and 4-0, and they knock out the Tampa Bay Lightning, who really didn't put up enough of a fight in Game 6 and 7. I am still alarmed at how little of a fight the Tampa Bay Lightning put up. Let's go over to the Vegas side of the board. Against LA in a battle of the goaltenders, 1-0 in Game 1, 2-1 in double overtime in Game 2, 3-2 in Game 3, it was a barn burner, and then Game 4 they win 1-0. So Jonathan Quick is left throwing his arms into the air and saying, really, you guys can't just score anything? I played better than they did in 2012, and nobody will remember. Hockey Guy will remember. Round 2, Vegas gets off to a big start with a 7-0 win. Then they lost Game 2, 4-3 in double overtime. They won Game 3, 4-3 in overtime. They lost Game 4, 4-0. And that's when I said, this is the first time Vegas has faced adversity as a team on the ice. I'm not talking about anything off the ice or anything else that happened in the city of Vegas. On the ice as a team, it was the first time they'd faced adversity. That San Jose looked like they could hang with them, and then they didn't. Vegas wins 5-3 in Game 5 and wins Game 6 on the road, 3-0. On the road, on the road, on the road, on the road, on the road. These teams are mirroring each other. It's just taking Washington longer to get there than it is Vegas. Round 3 against Winnipeg, 4-2 loss. Then they win the second game 2-1. They win 4-2, 3-2 at home, and then they win 2-1 on the road. Now, home is going to be an issue for the Capitals. You look at their record at home, not fantastic. You look at the road record that has been put together by Vegas, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, 6-2. It's pretty good. When you look at the opposition in the first round, Capitals faced a team with 97 points. Vegas faced a team with 98. The team that Vegas faced won the Stanley Cup in 2012 and 2014. Second round, Washington defeats the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions who had 100 points this year and finished 10th overall. Oh, and Columbus was 14th and LA was 13th. San Jose, 11th overall and 100 points, and they were in the Stanley Cup Final in 2016 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then, in the next round, Tampa, a team that was in the Stanley Cup Final in 2015 with 113 points, they were 3rd overall, right behind number 2 overall, Winnipeg, who had 114 points this year. Anybody who thinks that, oh, I've got this figured because clearly this team was facing the harder competition or this team was facing the harder competition, didn't look at the stats, didn't look at the numbers. The standings, and it's creepy when you look at it, isn't it? 1 point difference, same 1 point difference. Again, these playoffs have been strange, and you look at this, you think to yourself, why didn't we see this coming in the first round? Why didn't somebody number this up and go, yeah, this is exactly how it's going to work? Because you can't write this. You just can't. Now, again, 2 extra games here, 2 extra games here. We'll see if that makes a difference. They played the same number of games in the middle round. Where it comes in is you're going to have more wear and tear on the Caps. Look at how many Capitals got hurt blocking shots in Game 7 against Tampa while these guys are at home eating popcorn and watching. It is going to be a very, very close final. I really believe that. I do think it favors these guys only, and I'm only going on that based on they got the extra rest here about the same, but the wear and tear is a little bit less on Vegas. But it is going to be amazing. So there you go. There's my reasoning why I don't think either team necessarily faced easier opponents. Vegas was better off at finishing them off, though. Vegas didn't back itself into a corner. Washington did here. These series both went 2-2. And this one, they backed themselves into a corner at the start of it. And I know people will say that's because of Philip Grubauer. That's fair. I won't even fight that anymore. I'll accept it. But either way, it was more work they had to do to get out of the playoffs in that first round than did Vegas. Vegas has gone to overtime 3 times. And for Washington, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But at least working Washington's favor, there was no overtime in that last round. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And I'm telling you, we've got between now and Monday. I can analyze this a lot of different ways between now and Monday. And I might just do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.